and welcome back. Post-Christmas. Let's do this. Let's set up the labs. Where are we making them? We were there up top. Labs, regular inserters. Indeed. We're just slow. Well, got enough to start anyway. So we're gonna set up the labs. Figure out where we're going to set up the labs and then where we're going to set up the assemblers for the science. And undergrounds obviously make this whole process a whole lot easier. I have not looked at this today. We did not see any biters while we were out. However, they will slowly encroach on us, though not very fast. Let us get our labs sorted right over here. 150 of them is going to take up quite a bit of space. We are going to set up to handle 2 sciences at the least. The real question is, should I set them up for anything more than 2? One of the features of a run like this is much rebuilding for scale. You need tech, new research, new buildings, new materials to get scale, but yet you need scale. It's a very chicken and egg problem, so we focus on getting as big a lab setup as we can. I mean, technically, the limit is infinite. We could make a lab setup that's processing 150 signs per second. We could go balls out. 10 lanes of red science. Right at the beginning. But it's like, why? You'll have the research done in a relatively short time for sure, but you're going to have to tear it all down because likely the way that you built this setup will not handle the further sciences. So what we do is we get a setup that can take us through, I think in this case we're gonna build a setup that can take us through some of the first 4 sciences. I think the key here for me in this run is that I do not want to I don't want to have to set up so we're going to do 3 sciences. Keep in mind, or 4 I mean. Keep in mind these are basically they have to be one-sided or single placed. Like you might chain them and then use an inserter or something like that, but in this situation you really can't do that because I need. This is going to take me to this research setup. Is the plan is that this is going to take me to space. So red, green, blue, and we're going to have probably do at least one. Well, we're going to need to do some military text. We have to protect ourselves before leaving. Yeah, so I think this is the play. Sure, there's more efficient ways of setting this up, considering that we are going to abandon it once we head to space. I'm okay with that. 4, 5, we need 150. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's go get some building supplies, get some more labs. Yeah, we're gonna go. Gleba's gonna be last. I initially thought that Gleba might be first. However, the military tech that I want to be able to deal with Gleba is locked behind other planets, so we are going to go 51. So we're going to do this simplest of lab setups, enough to handle. In fact, we'll need to do space science as well. Yeah, so this is as much as we can do. We're gonna have another lane on the other side as well. Did not pick up undergrounds because I don't have undergrounds. So for now, oh, they're going the wrong way too. For now, get rid of the undergrounds. We will, after the fact, need undergrounds, but we will have undergrounds after completing the logistics here. Yes. Come on. There we go. Let's do that. So for pasting purposes, we have everything lined up here. As far as the science setup, science building setup, I haven't decided yet. Direct insertion is the easiest way, having a gear assembler just butted up right next to the science assembler. Then you just run red down, run copper down on one side and iron down the other. Science output usually on a long hand The design's kind of boring, and it is technically wasteful of leave room for, yeah, we can get 6 sciences. This will allow us to get one of this, you know, so you'll have space and the other 3, red, green, and blue, and then you can have 1 spot to do other sciences as needed. It's kind of annoying, not gonna lie. I think there is technically a way to get even more. If you use like advanced belt weaving. Technically you have space for 6 assemblers. Well, we will revisit that when we get there. Came back for belt. Just let that build for now. We are not going to be at truly full capacity here because we have a somewhat smaller starting copper patch here. So it's hard to get, before we get to electric miners, it's hard to get a whole yellow belt ore out. It will be better as we get tech. It's just, it takes time. So I guess might as well record a little bit about myself. For posterity's sake, I don't know. I'm a 43-year-old father, husband, stepfather, software engineer, and unabashed Factorio addict. Problem solving and brain teasers have always been a particular pastime of mine, but it's also a way for me to combat any cognitive effects I might still carry. I played football for 6 years, from what we here in the United States call 6th grade until I graduated high school, or finished secondary school. Secondary school is what it's called in other countries a lot of times. But for any of you who don't know, there's a distinct danger involved in American football. that it's become apparent over the years through, I mean, some of it's advocacy from former players who suffer from the effects, but there's I guess it's classified a disease, but it's called, or the acronym is CTE. I don't actually know what it stands for, but it's basically a product of subclinical head trauma. So what they used to call when I played football, it's called getting your bell rung. You know, feel a little bit woozy, see a couple stars, then you just go right back to playing. I'm almost 100% certain that I probably had a number of subclinical concussions, as they'd probably be classified now. But at that time, the cognitive effects of long-term subclinical head trauma were known. You know, I mean, you could say that it's fairly obvious, and that may be true. Yeah. I was a kid, you know, was a somewhat lonely kid too, and football offered me a chance to be part of a team and gain some valuable social skills. So I think in all it was a good thing, but it, you know, everything leaves a legacy. And so, at least in part, something like Factorio is good for me because it keeps my mind active. Software engineering itself does that a bit too. However, if you've ever worked at a smaller software company, what inevitably ends up happening is you know, expand your understanding of the inner workings of the company to the point where there isn't much more new to learn, and it can be stagnating in a sense. So a game like Factorio gives me an outlet for the part of my brain and my job also tickles the problem-solving side of my brain. And one of the natural things of playing Factorio is that your gameplay sort of escalates. Some would say, in the same way that drug addiction can escalate. No, at first, vanilla Factorio is the thing that you get your hands on and you sort of wrap your head around it, and then the game loop, in my opinion, is so compelling that it's one of the few games that I can play, one of the few things that I can do repeatedly that I don't find boring. So every time you play, it's a little bit different. I currently have 3 playthroughs going. My first Space Age playthrough, in which I'm in the sort of end game-ish, rebuilding bases to get ready for late game science. I'm not going huge, I'm targeting a yellow belt of science, 15 per second, so 900 per minute. Nothing crazy, but I want the, yeah, that's the goal, whatever. Goals are arbitrary. Let's get some assemblers, figure out how we're going to set up our science here. So we need we need a yellow belt of gears. So let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5. Have an idea, something like this. There's gonna be 2. Then you have a yellow belt of science, or science. Ha. I got that wrong. There we go. So iron plate goes up the middle, and then this way we can get away with no real belt trickery. Pardon me. Yeah, so that ensures that at the end of it, so each one thought I cut it, I guess I did not. How much does each one? So 15. So that's perfect. There's 16 there. Is the odd number obviously is kind of annoying, but that will give us a full belt. Belt, please. Do I need more? Do not. So let's paint this. Powder first. Learned that from someone, I don't remember who. So you can go like that. Just hold it down. Yeah, I don't remember who that was. I mean, without a doubt, it's Nilhouse or Michael Hendricks, maybe. Nilhouse, I think. Or Nilhouse? I don't know how that would be pronounced, to be honest. Don't ever hear it said out loud. Get our yellow belt of gears here, which of course will combine with a yellow belt of copper plate into a yellow belt of red science, which will get us through some of the first techs. You know, reasonably quickly. I think it's like probably gonna be about 20 minutes or so like 40-ish minutes for logistics. It's alright with me. I just like the ponderous nature of playing a game this way. So yeah, we'll bring this down. Again, this is mostly temporary. Not like super temporary. Less temporary probably than it is in reality. We need 150 assemblers. Do not have undergrounds. Yeah, I think that's the way. So, start there. It's gonna be like this. Then the red science goes up. And then these guys go through the center. Like so. And you got yeah, so then you can go like this. Like so. No, 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 no. I did it wrong. Yeah, I'm gonna reverse the belt, but that's the basic premise. So it's like this, and up and down. If we go 75 up, which you should be able to do here. Yeah, would we just considering that we just leave it like this and actually just end. Yeah. All right. Yes. Yes. Oops. Did not copy it previously, did I? This is not complete. Oops. Yeah. That's it right there. Okay. How many is that? That's 15. So that's 5. We need 5 lengths. So we need to go through these trees. Yeah, I think Factorio is an interesting game because it's a scaling simulator. It's an automation simulator for sure, factory simulator. But it's a scaling simulator. I saw a tweet one time by Elon Musk has said speedrunning Factorio IRL, because any technological problem, there's a difference between solving the problem and solving the problem at scale. It's one thing to solve the problem, have a solution, a workable solution. The real trick is scaling that solution. And there have been, I'm sure, hundreds of books written about the problem. I'm sure the amount of content made on that concept alone, or educational content too, like I'm sure it's say like a industrial engineering degree, if it's worth its salt, I would assume that it involves quite a bit of time spent discussing and thinking about the scaling problem. And what's interesting about Factorio is that because you are responsible for everything, you get to pick the scale. And I think the thing that is hard for some players to grasp when they start Factorio is it's something that comes, I think, with experience, but it's the forethought given to decisions. When you're first making decisions that you don't know the outcome of, your tendency is going to be to make decisions based on some arbitrary set of circumstances, and what you'll get out of it is largely correlated to the amount of time you put into the thought ahead of time. Now, in a game like Factorio, I guess, shoot from the hip by all means. Spaghettify that stuff. The trick with a challenge like this 1000x challenge is that every decision you make should contain quite a bit of forethought. Now, it doesn't mean that some of the decisions you end up making mean more manual work or more work on your part. Yes, very much so. But in the long term, it makes your life easier. So one of the things that I didn't know going into Space Age the first time was how and if I was going to use the quality mechanic at all. Now, in my first save, my first playthrough, which I have nearly 500 hours on, I didn't begin really looking into quality until much later. And it caused me to lose out on the benefits that I could have had earlier in the game. Like, for instance, bots. The bots get some crazy good bonuses. To their battery capacity by like up to the point where some of the later upgrades, like the legendary bots, are wild. They can fly for 2.5 minutes without charging, which is enough to make their use worthwhile with enough of them in like some pretty decent situation. Now, of course, you don't get access to legendary quality until much later in the game, but I did not start using quality the minute that I had access to it. My Factorio base does use quality. Let's do some building, then do some more tree clearing. I mean, honestly, yeah, this is the worst part about not the worst. This is one of the challenges of the 1000X game is it can feel like it ends up giving you a very slow start, which it does to a certain degree. We are not going to wait until we have this entire science array going. We are going to paint the belts for sure. And then we are going to get this going so we can start researching here. Say give us another 5 to 10 minutes here. We'll have some science going. Yeah, we can see we don't exactly have a full yellow belt of copper, but what we have is enough to get us to some better tech that will allow us to get the entire yellow belt. So power. Yeah. Priority 3. Yeah, fast inserters make this way easier. I forgot about the problems you get into with these fucking inserters. But there's our belt of gears. Okay. Made some signs. Gotta figure out how far we are. Probably only 30. Full belt of gears. That's beautiful. Beautiful thing. Let's get some more belt. Got assemblers and inserters. Let's see how many we have here. 28, not even 30. So 2 more at the top. Will give us 30. We can double that to get 60. How much more force do we have here? Yeah, it's interesting. Playing through Space Age, the first time I did target very fast science speeds. I mean, maybe 90 per minute, I think is sort of what my builds did across all the planets. That's pretty much what I targeted. And it's so interesting to me. Like, once you have a base defined with walls, if you go big enough, you have all the material you need, you have relative safety, and you just go, and your pollution never really is a problem. But now I have, I think up through purple science rebuilt to the yellow spec, 900 per minute, and the amount of pollution you start to spew is wild, which is something that you really do have to think about in this scenario. 1000x means you're done. You have to, in order to get the same end goal, requires 1,000 times the science, which means 1,000 times the resources, which means 1,000 times, at a minimum, 1,000 times the amount of pollution. So the pollution gets wildly out of hand fairly quickly. Mines go dry. Now having done this before, knowing some of the pain points, I have increased the size and richness, and frequency of the ore veins throughout the map. Just to ease the pain a little bit, but understand that it's just a little bit. None of this reduces the amount of pollution we produce. I nerfed the pollution. I cut the pollution diffusion ratio in half from 2%, which is normal, by 1%, and turned up the pollution absorption trees a bit. But again, this is all hedges against what I know to be true about once you actually get into the real researching that you have to do. I mean, just watch. Once we can get this guy fully running, which is still going to be a while here. Like our pollution, or our evolution's already 2.25 now. The goal here the real goal, I think, in a 1000x run is to not have to push enemies until you really have the tech to do so. So you want to enclose yourself in a base as soon as you possibly can and get flame turrets surrounding your base, along with guns, but flame turrets especially. Get yourself a decent wall design pretty simple, but it works pretty well. I have a design that works pretty well for delaying the enemy long enough for your flamers to really do their work. Okay. Let's do 2 more here. 2, that's 30. Okay. We're gonna grab this whole thing. But before this whole thing turns on, though, we will need to have a full power setup going. We will need all 36 megawatts. I already long for the days when we have bots here. One of the things that the Space Age vanilla experience really hammered home for me was the amount to which I the extent to which I'll rely on bots now. With the map view changes, I have spent probably the vast majority of the last 100, 200 hours of my vanilla Space Age playthrough. I spent it playing through map view basically, and base bots and other things like that are doing the work for me. I do occasionally go to character view. Come on. God. Especially being able to paste and have the bots take care of the trees and shit. Sure, this is just painful watching. It's painful to do it. There's a strange kind of like soothing effect that it has. Very zen experience of clearing this stuff by hand. This would give us a stack of 60 times 2, so 120. Means we need another 15. we will need to do more trees, but which I'll probably do ahead of time next time. But let's painting. So we do want to get the science through here so that we can begin research as we build out the rest of the assemblers and the power, so on and so forth. I'm not sure how everybody feels about this game. Not sure I really care all that much either, but this is very much a personal thing. Some people might stream for money. I'm too old to start a new career. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say that. You know, it's not as if I would turn down money if I were able to make money doing this, but the chances of me making any money doing it are next to zero. So, in that sense, this streaming thing I'm doing here is just for me. I like the idea of putting it out there. I think this game is one of the greatest games ever created. I know there are people who do agree with me. I'm sure there are plenty who don't. There's an old colloquialism from, I don't know if it's a time thing for when I grew up, or if it's from where I grew up in the Midwest. There's a saying, different strokes for different folks, and I think it's unfortunately something that our society is, it's a feeling that our society has abandoned to a greater or lesser extent over the last 20 to 30 years. I think we have fallen into this trap politically that we need to prove our rightness, for lack of a better term, our righteousness. Because rest assured, I mean, much has been said about it, and I'm not a professional philosopher, but rest assured that everything that we're experiencing today is downstream of society's shedding of religion. Now, I use the term shedding intentionally. I was very much an advocate of the new atheist mindset in the aughts, 2000s, and early teens. I do not think that 12, 13, 14, 15. And my point is not to say that atheism is bad. I do think that the new atheist movement was short-sighted. There was plenty good about it, because there's plenty bad about traditional religious ideas. much evil in the world has come from religious fervor. So you won't get any arguments from me about the truth of many of New Atheism's claims with regards to the effects of religion, the negative effects. The thing that I started to personally feel after years of thinking that way is that, well, what I noticed is that more and more people were effectively just replacing their religious belief with belief in political ideology. And I think ideology is dangerous. Ideology, purports to have answers for us. That's why it's so appealing. Ideology is just as flawed and just as problematic as religion. Make no mistake, that I can guarantee you is true. And my advice to anyone who might be silly enough to actually listen to it, my advice would be to not let your desire to belong, which is a natural human desire, rest assured, like, it's something that's fundamentally human. We're social animals who live in a very strange world. But as social animals, group inclusion is amongst our most basic needs. Just all you need to do is think about it evolutionarily. As hunter-gatherers, our inclusion in a group and that stack, that's funny. Our inclusion in a group is core to our survival. If we were outcast from the group, then the chances of us surviving were very small. I'm sure that people did it. I'm sure that there were, just like now, the people who were able to do most things solo, or who can, move through life in a more solitary fashion than most. But understand that those are the exceptions to the rule. Let's be very clear about that. Those are the exceptions. As a human, you have a very basic need for inclusion in a group. And we can always reorganize later. It's too late. I was thinking about reorganizing the signs into like two columns next to each other. This shouldn't go so far up, but honestly, oh well. It is what it is. Yeah, I don't really know how I got onto that tangent. Suffice it to say, I think most, if not all of us, are better off just go about the business of surviving, being a part of your family, community. That's actually honestly the best thing that anyone can do. The thing that's going to be most beneficial for your life is participating, being a part of something, whether it's just your family or a group that you choose or a sports team. Find yourself a crowd. Find yourself not a crowd. Find yourself a tribe that feels right. People can tell you all they want that humans are logical and all this stuff. And, humans are capable of significant feats of logic. Make no mistake about that. But we are social and emotional beings. Not to be confused with the current education fad, social and emotional learning, but we are social and emotional beings. And it is vital that we not ignore that aspect of ourselves. Much pain and suffering will come what is inevitable if you ignore that aspect of us. Because it informs you to some of the core needs of a human. Like I said, inclusion in a group, feeling as if they belong, not being an outcast. For those of us who spent our youths as outcasts, we might be a little more tolerant of the condition. Growing up in today's society, everyone is, to a greater or lesser extent, an outcast. Because you may be a part of a group, but it doesn't mean that you won't be an outcast in another group. I actually think that that's an amazing feature of today's society, is that you can find these communities that can enrich your life and allow you to really truly enjoy the things you love, while also getting the fulfillment of a cohesive group. But ideologies, political ideologies, religious ideologies are dangerous because they tell us that they have answers, that believing their answers make our lives better. Well, I hate to say it, but humans require hardship. Okay. Let's get to teching. Get ourselves some logistics so we can clean up some of our mess here. Get ourselves some turrets and miners. Yes. Turrets and miners. And then a way to keep an eye on things. Very important. Yeah, boy. All right. Look at that science go. All right. Let's build her out. Let's get it moving. Moving and grooving. Oh no. Indeed. We don't want to make any more as of yet. That might actually, I think that's too many, but oh well. Oh well. I've got a bunch of raw metals. Well, let's see. Can I make? God, so that's 5, 10, 15. Don't have enough for 5, 10, 15, 20. Just need more iron. 10 is 30. Okay. Let's get a few more of these assemblers out here so I can stuff them full of stuff. Don't like carrying a plate around in my pockets unless I absolutely have to. We are going to automate power creation and power generation equipment. Let's see, that's good. Because we are going to need to set up more than one power generation area. But let's get some stuff happening here. 1,000 science pack. Not an achievement. Milestone. For anybody curious, that's the milestones achieved. The milestones. What is that? Milestones mod gives you just some. It captures the times of various things, and I think it does some really cool stuff. Especially for a 1,000x run, you'll see these numbers start to climb until it's like, oh, 1 million science, which obviously we will very easily get to. As we were doing. All right, we are getting close. Let's finish this guy up. Oops. There we go. We do need, let's go grab those before we finish here. Need more burn inserters. Let's get it. Oh, I didn't need 100. That's good enough. Yeah, so 4% already, huh? Let's go. We are going to progress nicely. You can see research finished. The estimated time at the moment is 7:59. Or it's unclear to me how these are different. But either way, yeah, estimated time 7 hours currently, but that will drop significantly as we get all of our assemblers, science assemblers going, and as we in turn then get our labs going. Everybody's got a favorite boiler set up. This is mine. So you get the small power poles through there. I do think that there are some advantages. Advantages, disadvantages to the various methods. Dumb. Under needs to pipe. I really think it's a thing of preference, though, ultimately. It's just about preference, about what you're comfortable with. So I don't have pipes automated. I'm just gonna... Let's do that. Get ourselves some... Alright, pipe. can reach far. I use the far reach mod because I just can't be bothered with the short reach. Okay, got our 36 megawatts available power. Let's continue building. I think we have enough assemblers. I don't need to. Still got 200 in there. Enough for our green science when we get to it, maybe. Yeah, let's keep on with this stuff. Dumb tree. All right. Yeah, you normally wouldn't build. You normally wouldn't scale to 15 signs per second. 900 per minute. You normally wouldn't scale to that level at this stage of the game in any way because your material costs go up spectacularly because you need a certain number of these assemblers plus inserters and belt for the assembly. It's just like you end up with these skyrocketing costs. They're just they're not exponential. But they do spiral, polluting hard now. 6% on logistics. Bar slows. 15 red signs per second. Get some more inserters. Belt. Let's go keep building labs. We are going to go to 150 labs. What's our power like? Having all the assemblers running. About half where we were. Yeah, so as you can see, there are challenges. This is why I nerfed pollution a little bit and then it's spread. Because there's just a cost, and the game doesn't really care whether you like the cost or not. Get those. Let's go. I'm not going to have enough long-handers. Could. Let me just grab some plate. Each row is 15, that means 10. Oh, of course. That's 30 labs, right? Just to be sure. Yeah, so I think what we do is we go like this. It's 10 individual lines of work. 5 of these. That's 3. 4. Look at this lab complex. I mean, really ridiculous. 5. That's ridiculous. Wild. Alright, let's get these guys connected. Go. Let's copy that bad boy. So we can paste her. Can't paste that one yet. It's fine. There we go. And lastly, where's that? We are. The side of that son of a bitch. We got disco signs on, so it's gonna look cool. Yeah. So we want the first. Let's do this one first. Yes, trees, of course, trees. Should turn trees down. Should we make these green lamps and only take out the trees that are necessary? No. And I did one green mat for the trees. They will be invaluable for pollution absorption. Also why I turned up pollution absorption just a bit. It will help keep us safe. Trees are our friends. Except these trees that are in the way. Fuck these guys. Should have known that's where I wanted my lab. I mentioned it last time, but I am really excited for the challenge of interplanetary logistics at this scale. It's interesting. Before my original 1000x run, I had no idea what it meant to build at scale. And then when I did build at scale, it became sort of one of my favorite things. Like, honestly. So like, yeah, I'm excited to see what interplanetary scale looks like. I can't say that I'm excited about interplanetary scale on Gleba. Like, let's just be honest. That shit sounds terrible. Like scaling an expirable resource. Right, it's the very first one, so I can get relatively close. Scaling a spoilable does not sound fun to me. If I'm just being straight up, let's just be honest. You know what I mean? But we shall see, you know? It could end up being really rewarding. I had heard plenty of bad about Gleba. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the challenge. My solution ended up being the waterfall solution. The river solution. Which, if you're not familiar, I don't know if it's like an official like term in industrial design, or if it's just something someone came up with. I don't know. I heard someone use the term. I really like it because it describes the situation very well. But think of the resources as a river, and in the case in which and as I see it on Gleba, the origin is your harvesting of the fruit. That's the origin of the river, you know. What's going on over here? We are not producing enough iron on this. Yeah, we can improve that. Let's do this. $10K already, buds. But the person described the solution for Gleba, one of the solutions, possible solutions, as the river method. like I said, you know, the resources on your belts being a river, so to speak. The origin of the river being the fields where the fruit is grown. The destination of the river being the burner generator. What was I saying? Dang it. Yeah, you burn everything. Burn absolutely everything. Burn fruit. Burn nutrients. Or no, you can't burn. You burn spoilage. You just burn everything. Nah, dog. And that's the destination for everything, is the burner. And so what your factory does is it simply takes the things that it needs, it takes them out of the river and uses them. And it doesn't affect the river at all. Besides that, the river is, in this case, the river resources is slightly smaller for your taking some out of the river. But it means that you'll always pull the freshest thing. And with the way that the inserted priorities work, you can say only, pull freshest. Yeah, there's lots of benefit to it in my book. I found it very it worked, and I can imagine scaling that, like scaling it to like the size of a bus. You know what I mean? Well, here's the thing: the mash can move pretty far in the 15 minutes. Like, if we're talking about a bus, it can move pretty far down a bus in 15 minutes. So, like, you can collect fruit, throw it onto a train to get it back to the base, then you can throw it into the beginning of your river, which turns it into the mash, because the fruit doesn't get used anywhere else. The usable things are the products of the fruit. Seeds can be taken back somehow, taken back to the farms somehow. But then that starts the river of resources, so to speak. And at the end of the river is enough burning capacity to get rid of it all. Things just never stop moving. But I can imagine a base at that scale. I think it's the way that I will end up tackling the problem at scale. Volcanists would be interesting because you actually don't need that much tungsten if your science target is pretty low. You don't need much at all, and you don't need much in general either. Like, if you use a lot of green belt, you'll need some, but like we're gonna need enough in this situation that like there's gonna be danger of the patches running out, which means tackling. If we want to get a big patch that's gonna last us for quite some time, it means tackling some really big dog worms. Now, one of the strategies that I heard worked really well for killing worms was a tank with uranium shells. Now, I hate, just like I hate, I mean, hate's a strong word. Don't hate beacons, vanilla beacons. Don't hate them. I do, though, however, hate I do hate the driving system in Factorio. It's my absolute least favorite part of the game, 100%. I will have a car at some point because of the scale we're going to be working at, but yeah, you'll see, I don't like it. Why don't I like it? That's interesting. I don't like it because I grew up in an era of console gaming. You know, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis. I even played a little bit of the Master System, a little bit of Atari. But I had a Nintendo. I had a Super Nintendo, an N64, a Dreamcast, PlayStation 2, a Xbox 360, PS3, PS4, and now I have a PS5 as well. I do still play games on console. But I have, over my years, also played. I've also played PC. I grew up in the era of Windows 3.1, running on DOS. I played the original Doom on a 486. Intel 486 processor machine with 800 megabytes of hard disk space. Yeah, so I go a ways back. But console gaming was really kind of always my bag. The controller. Yeah, we can't do that, can we? Don't. It's still a while until logistics, but we can do something like this. Take these out. Yeah, once we have splitters, we can rebalance this, but for now, we can just do this. Distribute the load. It's not a perfect solution, but that's one of the things you learn in 1000x Factorio is that there is no perfect solution. Sometimes brute force is your only option. But anyway, yeah, I hate the driving. I played games before with the driving system similar to Factorio, for instance, like Grand Theft Auto, old school Grand Theft Auto, GTA, and GTA 1 and GTA 2, and GTA 3, right? It was GTA 4, right? That was the game changer. That came last. Yes, I believe so. But the old school GTAs were top down. isometric or just top down, whatever. They had a viewpoint much like Factorio. The driving was terrible. I hated it. I didn't really play it as cool as I thought the games were because of the chaos that you could get into. I didn't like the action of the game because it was the top down. The driving was just the worst. Yeah, the driving was just bad. But anyway, so yeah, so I don't like the driving in this game. I don't like it one little bit. I've always liked the play. I always liked space exploration, and in part because you have the ability to bypass driving altogether as a mechanism. You can just do the jetpack. I don't mind using a car to get around, but other than that, I don't like it. Don't like fighting with the vehicles, cars or tanks. So, as a help, I decided to add a mod. Since I am playing modded here, I think if you play 1000X unmodded, then you are a crazy person. Just my personal opinion, it sounds real bad. I've seen someone do it, and it does not look like a kind of game that would be fun for me. So instead, we're playing modded. A few things, knowing what I know about space age at this point, since I have a vanilla space age save going. What was I gonna say? I am familiar with what needs to happen, like some of the strategies I think that are best, or I've developed, or I've come up with some strategies that I think are good. I do think, as much as I want, because of the biolab, as much as I want to go to Kaliba first, I'm not going to. I don't want to have to deal with pentapods at my current. I don't want to deal with pentapods at the tech level I'll be when I can go to my first planet. I want artillery. Artillery means Vulcanist. Vulcanist also unlocks ways of producing your resources, your base metals at much better rates. Well, because of the productivity bonuses. It's still a 1-to-1 order plate ratio if you go purely by the recipe, but because of the machine the recipe is being processed in has an inherent productivity bonus. It gives you additional iron plate for the resources, which makes your resources go further. So that would be really good, actually. So I think each one of the initial planets does provide some real value for go. Hundo 50. Powering away. There you go. Research. Time remaining is down to 24 minutes or 26 minutes, depending on who you're looking at. For this particular science, 150 is what you would do for a gun turret. No. I was having a hard time calculating science rates in my head, and how long it will take to process science packs. But anyway, let's get some further materials. Some more of these guys. Those guys. More belt. Yeah, we're pretty close on the lab count there. Got 2 extra labs. We can go bigger. Just remember, yeah, so we're currently processing science at 600 per minute. We're making 900 per minute. I mean, with another... If there's currently 10 times 15. So each block is 30. There's 5 blocks. Another 75, basically, I think. I mean, I won't touch the 30-second ones. These seem extraneous, but they are kind of necessary. Yeah, I mean, I guess we build more labs. So that's 60. Just might as well. I mean, especially once it goes to the 30-second sciences, then it's going to take a, you know, just a rugged shit ton of labs to get to do this. So. Pollution. Pollution's growing. Alright, 90? Sounds like my son is awake, so stream will be ending here shortly. Can I do anything before I go? Let's see. Tasks. Show all our tasks. Let's add a new task. Add more science. We will get to 30-second sciences here at some point. Once you get into greens, I guess a lot of them are 15. I mean, you do get to the 30. Some are 30 seconds, but 15. We are going to use efficiency modules as 30 seconds. Yeah, so we need a relatively big to really get those done in reasonable time. 50,000 is a lot. 900 per minute. I mean, just round it to 1,000 just for kicks, and that's 50 minutes. Yeah, so if we stick to, by that point we might be into the red belt, which means we need even bigger lab setup, and yeah. So yeah, I mean that's the real trick of this challenge, is that their progression of tech costs is, I think, pretty good, like pretty well defined. It's reasonable. The real question is, what do you want to have to do to achieve reasonable science throughput? In the 1000x challenge, you're just going to keep growing and scaling because the costs keep scaling. Like, I mean, some of these costs are wild. Like 1 million science packs for some of the planet discoveries. Like, that's wild, man. That's going to be a huge. There's 60 seconds, 1 million. So if you don't want that to take 1 million minutes, which of course that's not a reasonable thing to say, since that would be one lab doing it. But yeah, if we stay at 900 per minute, even at 1800 per minute, that's a long time. So yeah, scale. Let's add that. And then, as always, diplomacy. Well, I think it's a good place as any to end it. We do have all our labs operating on Red Science. You can see our research finish time there, 19 minutes. If we were to just sit here waiting, I might, in fact, I am going to let this run just to get logistics so that when we start out our next stream, we'll just be able to start cleaning stuff up, setting up some splitters and undergrounds. Yeah. I mean, I could reasonably allow it to run may do that just for kicks to make our experience a little bit more fun. I'll keep the game running. I'll fill out some of my ghosts here. I'll paint it. Do the boring stuff that no one wants to watch, the trimming those trees, the stuff like that. When we stream next Monday, because I won't be streaming this weekend, I don't think. But next Monday, when we stream again, we will have logistics, some electric miners, which I'll clean up the patches. Keep our science isn't going anywhere. Keep our labs. We're just going to rearrange all the mining nonsense. Get some turret production going, because we aren't going to have to go out for enemies too soon. We gotta going. Yeah, we'll have a little bit of extra stuff done so we can continue our scaling game. The name of this playthrough really is going to be about scaling hard and scaling fast. 1,800 signs per minute will be our goal once we have red logistics. We may set up multiple lab setups. We'll see. Do 2 red belts of science? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. That might have to wait until we get past Vulcanus. But either way, until next time, I'm the Colonel. This is Factorio. 1000x to the win.